Hey folks, Brannon Beliso. Are you living your best life? Welcome to another episode of Success Never Sleeps, sponsored by My Studio, Market Muscles, Kids Love Life Skills, and LC Accounting. My sponsors for all that good stuff. So, quick recap of the weekend, then I'm going to bring on my guests. So it's time Live Elevate, the virtual event. It was our biggest biggest attendance to date, whether live and, well, of course, we've never done it virtual. We've broadcasted the event virtually from Millbrae when we did the live event, but we had people from New Zealand, Australia, United Kingdom, Germany, Switzerland, Canada, and all over the United States. And I was very humbled because I really encouraged people to be there live, because those magic moments that happen, the experience you create when everybody's there was powerful. We had one gentleman, Chris Malloy, dynamic martial arts in Australia. This guy was up at 3 a.m. So he woke up at 2:30, had his breakfast, and then he joined us. And Switzerland was live, Germany was live, and I don't even know what time it was in those places. So I was very humbled to be able to facilitate that experience. And of course, Stephen Reinstein was there of Market Muscles, Min Wilson, the COO of Encourage Martial Arts, multiple locations, $4 million a year, and Josh Sarsaman, one of the overlooked gems in our industry. Josh only has one school with 250 students, but he owns the commercial complex that his school is housed in. He owns multi-level family apartment buildings. So make no mistake, he's a very savvy, smart entrepreneur who's taken the money he's made in the martial arts and parlayed it into passive revenue streams. And so I was very humbled by the whole event. It was very powerful and moving because we did unique things such as empathy. And we took the life skill of empathy, which means to understand how people feel and see about things. And we took that and said at a heart level, not, okay, I'm going to be empathetic so I can get 10 new students. No, truly, because it's who you are at a heart level. If you can be empathetic towards the demographic that you serve, then you will truly understand their pain points. So when you're cultivating content, right? When you're cultivating content that will engage and connect people at a heart level. And we know that with all the noise in social media, I mean, there's billions of people at social media. How do you stand out when they're scrolling through a feed? Right? It can't just be a compelling video. So you have the ability to use imagery and use content to really connect and engage people. But if you don't truly possess a life skill like empathy at a heart level, how can you write content that's authentic? How can you write content to connect with people? One of the exercises we did was writing content for a single mom with a 6-year-old child that has ADHD. And that was a wild experience. So all those different things went on. So today I believe we're going to give that away. Are we giving that? What are we giving away today, K1? Can you flash that up, sir? Oh, we're going to give away a 1-hour phone call. So it's a coaching call with me. It's valued at $300. All you have to do is share this live broadcast right now, and you'll digitally be entered into our drawing, and we'll announce the winner at the end of today's event. So let me see who's on here today. Marco, what's happening, sir? Mish, it was a great event. Thank you so much for choosing to spend your valuable time with us at It's Time Live Elevate. All right, so I'm going to bring 2 people on. Leon Rogers, I know really, really well. And I'm going to start with Leon. You know, me and Leon connected at a heart level. And you know me, I don't want leads. I don't want trials. I don't want members. I invest in relationships. And I think that's the big difference. I don't want to spend money, generating a bunch of leads that are tire kickers that'll never going to come in my school. I really want to spend the time cultivating relationships. So I'm like a farmer. I'm extremely patient with that process. So Leon's known me, and I've known him just through Century and that relationship. And then when we connected, it was just so easy, right? And I really believe great relationships happen that way. And so we both share the faith in God. We both share the genuine desire to help the martial arts industry, to better the martial arts industry. And that's important to us. And more than anything, I thought Leon was going to retire and go off into the sunset, and he did nothing of the sort. He's still active in the industry. I know he's working with Ninja Tricks. I know he works with Kickside, and also Kevin Neef that's going to be with us today. So fix that name, K1. You still got the old name in there. I don't know where I got Jason from. Honestly, I have no idea where that popped up. So it's actually Kevin. So if you can fix his name up there up top before we bring him on, that'd be really, really cool. And they're going to talk about an initiative that I think is not only time sensitive, but it's very valuable in our industry. I have felt for years and years and years that there should be some legislation for martial arts schools to categorize us. And classic is what we're suffering through right now. We're labeled as a gym. We're labeled as a gym. And so we're not allowed to function in many respects in many parts of the country and the world. I have clients being shut down again in Germany, clients in the United Kingdom, clients in Switzerland. I have clients in New York that are shut down. We got dialed back in San Francisco, and they labeled us as a gym. Now, here's the kicker for me, and then I'm going to bring these guys in. So I get a letter from the San Francisco City Attorney's Office last week telling me I cannot run kids' martial arts classes inside my school. I said, well, you labeled us as a gym. You told us we could open and we could function with 10% occupancy. They said, yes, you can. But a gym, the members have to be 18 years and older. And I couldn't find anywhere that was written, right? So there you are. So we're dealing with this because we sit in this gray area. And I really believe there needs to be like an FDA. There needs to be some kind of governing board regulating martial arts schools. Because think about it. You don't even need a black belt. You can say you're a black belt, throw one on, get a business license, and open a school. I really believe once we can raise that boat, the potential is there. But what does it begin with? With the work that Kevin's doing and Leon's doing, creating that consciousness at a government level to say, hey, please take a look and see what we really do here. And I think that's important. So let's bring them on, please. And we can get their mics active and make that all happen. Is that on you, K1, or is that on me? Thank you, sir. Hey, Leon, can you hear me?
I can, Brannon. Can you hear me?
Awesome. Kevin, are you there, sir?
Well, Brandon, we've met before, and you had it right the first time. The name's Jason.
It is Jason. See, so
it's been many years, so you were right.
Right, but Leon, somebody told us Kevin this morning and to change it.
No,
or was it the other way around, Leon? They wrote Kevin.
It was listed.
It's the other way around.
You had it right.
We overserve. We overserve. So it is Jason. Thank you, sir. See, I was right the first time. I don't know.
You
I don't
were.
know where it got twisted and thrown the other way at me because I always thought it was Jason all these years. All
And it
these years.
is.
Gentlemen, so share with me. So it is Jason. So I stand corrected and I humbly apologize for that, sir. So go ahead, guys. Share the initiative. I signed it, and I think it's important.
Well, before Jason jumps in here, he can speak more intelligently to the petition than I can. But first, Brandon, I just want to thank you for your kind words and thank you for allowing us your platform to talk about the WIN initiative and our petition.
Absolutely, sir. You know that. Anything you need, any time of day, you just call out my name, right? Little James Taylor. No, I reached out to Leon because I signed it the other day and I read through it and I just went, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. So go ahead, Jason, sir, share with us everything about it.
And Professor Beliso, let me know if my voice is echoing at all. Can you hear me okay? Cool. I think you said it best. We're very passionate about this initiative. We see tremendous value coming from the martial arts industry specifically during this pandemic in ways that we probably never perceived before. And so let me just kind of give a bit of background. We think our industry is unique and we provide values in ways that a lot of people don't even recognize. So what do I mean by that? First and foremost, we know if someone is relatively healthy, I can't say that they're guaranteed to be okay should they get COVID, but we do know that people that have underlying health conditions that get COVID are the ones that are really at risk. So getting healthy is such an important thing right now. That's pretty obvious. But beyond that, what is also starting to happen is as we're isolating in communities, kids aren't going to school, kids aren't able to do activities. Being in isolation is leading to depression. And there's unintended consequences of that. Suicide rates are an all-time high. Depression rates are an all-time high. And there is no better place than a martial arts school to really feel family, to feel relationships, to your point, Brannon, to feel like you're part of a community. What we provide on the mats with this community feel is unprecedented. And our communities need it now more than ever. Third, as you look at kind of the key three things that we see as advantages, the third would just be the personal safety aspects of martial arts training. Right now, all that's going on, unfortunately, things have settled for the most part, a lot more. But there was a stretch there where our country was really divided. We had a lot of rioting and a lot of looting, and gun sales were going through the roof. People didn't feel safe. People were fearing for themselves. And so just from a personal safety perspective, in lieu of going out and buying a weapon that you don't need to be able to or know how to use, people need to feel like they can protect themselves. This industry provides tremendous value to a nation, to a world that right now is looking for solutions. So that's why we're so strong on this WIN initiative. We just don't think a business as valuable as yours, Brannon, should have to close their doors right now. Communities need our martial arts schools right now more than ever. That's my,
Well,
I'm going to get off my soapbox, but I feel
no. But I mean, everything you're saying is so true. I think the bigger challenge, if 1% of the population are doing martial arts, as we've learned, right? I think the challenge with that is the legislature is going to look and go, well, you're such a small impact on the whole, that it might get lost in the shuffle. What's it going to take to get at the top of the, of the list so that we get looked at? We're not buried in all this legislation for years and years to come, and we never get on the docket, to even get an audience at the House of Representative or at a Senate level. What's it going to take to elevate this thing and escalate it so people recognize? Because you're right, depression, addiction, domestic violence, divorce, suicide is at an all-time high. It is. And of course, with the holidays, we know suicide and depression is huge already. Add in the pandemic and what's been going on for 8 months. You are absolutely right. I have a gun store in my community, and I've never seen a line out that door. And it's had a line out the door for 8 months. But we're not talking about guys wearing no fear t-shirts, some macho guy. We're talking little old blue-haired Asian ladies who are petrified, because of all the racism going on with the whole pandemic. I don't want a 76-year-old lady who's never shot a gun, even owning a gun. Yet, because of this situation, everybody's capitalizing on that and selling guns. So you're right. I really believe beyond the actual self-defense of the martial arts, just the mental aspect. And that's why I was so passionate at my event. I said, you guys, why do you take meditation out of your martial arts school? 90% of the school owners that were there have dropped meditation. And meditation is a big part of martial arts, right? So I agree with you. So what do we do? How are we going to get this thing elevated?
Yeah, great question. And you're right. The martial arts industry, one of 1%, as you pointed out. If the general population takes a look at our industry, there is that argument. I would also say this is a great opportunity for us to change the lens at which the general population looks at us, but that's a whole nother discussion. But I do think we have an opportunity. Let's change the narrative. Let's position ourselves in a way that we may have never considered before. That's for another discussion. But to answer your question specifically, what do we do with this monumental task? I humbly have some experience in government affairs. I did that in a previous life for years with big business. So I've done a good deal of lobbying. So not to suggest I have this figured out, but I do have some experience. And one of the things that we are doing is we are working with some of the key legislators in Congress, one of whom is Representative Sharice Davids. Now, not only is she a congresswoman, she's a former martial artist and a mixed martial arts competitor. So she understands the value of the industry. And here's what's more. She is actually on the small business committee in Congress. So she is literally on the front lines, finding ways to help small businesses get through these times. So I'm happy to report Representative Davids, number one, has already met with us. Number two, she just got reelected. So that's good news. And number three is we're planning on hosting her in our Kickside offices to continue to press this agenda. Passing legislation, as you guys know, is no easy task, but we've got the right people listening to this argument. The reason this petition is so important, we've got closing in a short amount of time, already 1,000 signatures. Every one of our owners, like you, Brandon, has hundreds and hundreds of students that could be signing this as well. This isn't just an owner initiative. This is everyone that knows the benefits of martial arts, moms, dads, students, everybody in between. So we have ambitious goals of tens of thousands, if not more, signatures on this. So what does that do for us? That allows us to really show a mass of individuals, a community that stands together when we go and talk to the Congress people that have invited us to share our story. But it does something else. A lot of these decisions on whether or not to let a school open are done at the local level, right? So it's not necessarily legislation always. It's what happens in your particular county. Sometimes it's that granular. And so to have a tool like this, whether you're in San Francisco or in Overland Park, Kansas, or down in Oklahoma, you can take this petition with you when you have to have that conversation with your local decision maker and say, this is a global effort. We have hundreds of thousands of people that are testifying to the importance of this industry. We're not talking about the local gym. Not that I'm taking anything away from 24-hour fitness or any of those crunch fitness. But the martial arts industry school is so much more than that for the reasons I've stated. And so this petition gives you, the local owner, something you can take into your decision maker to give them some further evidence as to why this is important and how many people across the country are supporting. Does that help to answer the question, Brannon?
Well, I think so. But, you know, as I'm having these aha moments, as I love to be a critical thinker, I think we need to campaign. I think we need a different landing page geared towards parents, why they should sign this initiative, you know, and how they can really support martial arts schools. I think we need a media campaign. We need commercials. We need, you know, really sharing that, because a lot of people think it's some guy in a strip mall with a mullet and you know, red and white and blue uniform with the American flag, and that's it. I mean, martial arts is very sophisticated on certain levels, but I think that's also the bigger challenge. The spectrum across the board is, like I shared, you know, you don't, other than a business license, there's nothing that you have to prove that you're qualified to teach martial arts or even work with children. I mean, everybody in our business is finger checked, background checked, all of that. But there's not that requirement across the board. And what's it going to take where people are going to say no? You know, it's like a plumber. You have to have a contractor's license. an electrician. You have to have a contractor's license. Our industry doesn't require that. I think that's even a bigger issue to make people stand up and go, wow, these people are serious. These people are legit. Right. So I think it's kind of a twofold. I dig the initiative, but I think there's a lot of groundwork if it's going to have longer, longevity and legs. Because right now I get it. The pandemic, everybody's arguing. I got school owners calling me every day going, I'm not shutting down. You guys are communists in California. I'm going, dude, I just do what they tell me to do. Millbury said I can do kids classes. It's a youth program. San Francisco says I can't do them. Fine. Teach in the parking lot. Fine. Teach on a basketball court. I mean, we're doing whatever it takes. But I think there's a bigger issue beyond the initiative that really needs to be addressed. And because the quality, Jason, that you have thousands of clients, the quality of schools are so vast and far. And Leon knows that, traveling and being at Century all those years. You guys have to admit that. And unless someone's willing, I don't know how we do that, because you're right, it is very granular. Yep. It is granular, but how can there be just, federal law? There's federal laws that govern electricians across the board, right? You can, I know each state you move to, an electrician has to get a different type of license. I can't practice being an electrician in Nevada like I can in California. There's different local at a granular level, but I mean, I still believe that's going to always be the bigger issue, sir. I really believe that. And I witnessed it too, working with clients all over the world now. The level is vast and far. There should even be some business component. There should be some ethics component. There should be all these different things you have to if you're going to get a legitimate license to run a martial arts school.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think that would be excellent. I'm looking kind of probably a little bit more short term. I would love it as things settle and we get back to business as usual. That would be fantastic. And I think it would do a great deal towards maybe raising the perception of the martial industry by the general population. It's surprising to me that doesn't exist.
I know, right?
It really does. But in the meantime, what I would say is to your questions earlier, just about the initiative. In the short term, when you talk about parents and kind of educating parents, one thing that we've done beyond just saying, hey, please sign our petition, is if you go to thewininitiative.com, we also have articles that we've created specific for you owners out there that want to change the narrative, that want to educate your audience on why they need to be trained. Their students, their parents, their children themselves need to be training in the martial arts right now. What's difficult for you as an owner, you guys are plenty busy. You're doing virtual classes. You're trying to navigate all the difficulties right now. My heart goes out to you. And in the meantime, you're trying to make ends meet. It's been one of the most heart-wrenching times for us at Kicksite, and also some of the most rewarding times, because we're in this battle with you. We know how difficult it is. We hear it firsthand every single day. But that being said, we know how difficult it is for you to start to change the narrative. When are you going to find time to provide content to be able to share with your audience? So Kicksite, we've done that. We've created content, and you're welcome to reutilize it. But it's articles to speak to how martial arts helps boost your immune system. Like, that's a relevant conversation right now. You're worried about COVID? Well, before you do anything else, get yourself healthy so your immune system is stronger should you contract it. That's an article that is really worthy to share with your audience. How martial arts helps with personal safety. How martial arts combats depression. I mean, these are articles that if you share these with your students, with your prospects, now all of a sudden they're thinking about you in a different way. This is no longer just about character building or about bully prevention. This is about pandemic resolution, or at least dealing with the difficulty of a pandemic right now.
I agree. But, if we understand the way the mind works, if I'm scrolling through my, news feed, I'm not going to read anything. I'm looking for videos. I'm looking for compelling things, some kind of meme. So I read a couple of the articles, and they're great. They're great articles. They're very informative. But if I'm scrolling through my news feed, the average Joe's not going to stop at it. So if we're looking at TikTok, Instagram, maybe LinkedIn, it's cool, right? It'll work great at LinkedIn. But I would love to see that, if we're going to reach Joe E. Public, a bigger populace, we understand most people simply don't read. I read, you probably read avidly. But if we look at that standard demographic that's at social media, even the average parent, and they're scrolling through a news feed, they are not going to stop and read an article. If we break it into sound bites, with some images, I'm just thinking, how to really push that, to the forefront, right? To make it fly. But
I'm open to that, and I would agree. It's difficult. You got to keep it bite sized. We have done videos. We have invited some of the top infectious disease docs into webinars to speak to. They're not bite sized. They're not TikTok length, but we'll cut up some of those videos.
Cut it up, man. Cut it up.
So maybe we cut up some of those videos we have and utilize some of those expert opinions on why martial arts makes a lot of sense right now. I appreciate that feedback.
Absolutely. So Leon, my friend, I love you, sir. I want your feedback. I want you to hop in here. I just want you to go for it. I know Leon's going, those wheels are turning. You're a senior in every way, Leon. What are your thoughts about everything and, the initiative and everything we're talking about with the state of the way things are in our industry? What do you think? What do you feel? What should we be doing? What's your collective thought?
Well, I do have a few thoughts. Number one, I'm glad Kevin Jason jumped in and talked about the WIN initiative is so much more than just the petition. And to y'all's point, there's so few people. There's roughly 5 million people in the U.S. that take martial arts out of 340 million population, which is just ridiculous. I mean, we should have numbers much, much bigger than that. And I think, you guys are touching on it. It's just without any regulation in the martial arts, to your point, Brannon, anybody can, call themselves a black belt and open up a school. And those people that are doing that cause more harm in the industry than you can imagine. And I will say I'm aware there have been some attempts to regulate the industry. I used to be a member of ASTM, which is American Society of Testing and Materials. And there was actually an attempt by a gentleman to form a group to do just what you guys are talking about, to regulate, to set some standards and regulate the martial arts industry. And there were 0 people sign up for the committee. The industry is just so fragmented, and nobody seems to want to jump on that bandwagon and help push anything. So, that's kind of my message from the very beginning. Brandon, has just been, if we can unite as an industry, we can do some great things, and I think we can quadruple the amount of people taking martial arts. But we're all out there trying to do our own thing, and we just don't have the resources. So we've got to figure out a way to unite.
Right, but Jason, I don't you agree? If we can make it happen at a government level, it'll force our hand a little bit, and I'm cool with that. I'm very cool with that. We just had to do this. It's mandatory. We do this sexual harassment thing every year now. We have to watch these videos and take these tests, and it's mandatory here in California. We have no choice. We have no choice. We go to renew our license or anything like that, we can get fined, we can get penalized. It's at a government level. And I really believe we're going to have our hand forced because it is so fragmented. They're still arguing my Eagle Claw is better than your Tiger Kung Fu, and that's ego. And we understand that that's always been there in the industry. But I remember when my HR person came to me, which most people don't have, and said, everybody has to take this sexual harassment course. I said, why? Because of the Me Too thing? They said, it doesn't matter. It's what the government said. We got the letter. We have to take this. So in California, we have to take this. So I believe it needs to happen not at only from a grassroots level. It's got to happen at a government level. And how can we create that consciousness, Jason? Asking you this question because you're connected to it at a government level. How do we get government to step in and force that to happen? Make that happen? Because we're not. I mean, we know that the industry is so fragmented. Everybody does their own thing. It's not going to happen. You've been trying for years. I've had this conversation with many people. So what's it going to take?
Yeah, that's a very difficult question to answer, and unfortunately, the hard reality is, and I saw the feed of questions coming through. A lot of times, the agendas of the big businesses are the ones that get listened to. When you've got big corporate America, big pharma, and they've got billions of dollars to invest in lobbying, I was part of that machine for years. So I got to see it firsthand, and you get the attention of a lot of the decision makers. So I would just say it's somewhat of an uphill battle when you don't have deep pockets, especially when you're fragmented and you can't go into DC with armies of people. So that's a difficult task. But what I can say, what we are doing is we're finding the right people that are on the right committees that can make a difference. And these aren't local committees. These are federal committees in Congress, small business. Like, we went right to the right person, and we were just fortunate that this individual not only is on the small business committee in Congress, but she is a former martial artist. So she's lived it. I think she's a black belt, and she understands how important it is. So our best bet is grassroots, to kind of have a ground swelling of support, get to the right committees, get their ear, those that understand it, and sit on the committees that can do something. So I see this as a good precursor to something we could take on beyond this pandemic.
Well, yeah, and how often has martial arts been even in the room? Right? We're in the House of Congress, small business. So what are some of your other points, Leon?
Well, I just, martial arts schools and owners and instructors, to me, have always just been a critical component of our society. But the general population just doesn't recognize that and see the value in it. So again, that's just kind of been my agenda since I've left Century, is to help the industry be perceived differently and be perceived as professional and united, so that we can reach some of these goals that I think a lot of us have.
Yeah, and that's why I promote the disruptors so heavily, because to try to get to shift the collective mindset in a new direction that will help be more professional, will help the different ethics and the morals. We preach all these high morals and qualities, and every other week you see somebody on the news that's molesting a 15-year-old girl in their school. I mean, it's got to stop. But I really believe there should be major background checks, all those things collectively, and we know they're not. Anybody can open up a martial arts school.
Well, and on a smaller scale, and this may seem little, but I think it's big and it's important. And again, it speaks to back to the industry getting united. I've seen so many people, so many schools that are maybe 5-10 miles apart. And as you know, well, more than any of us here, Brandon, a lot of parents will vet out schools, and they'll go into one school and he's bad mouthing the guy down the street and talking about how bad he is and doesn't know what he's doing. That doesn't do any of us any good. It doesn't do any of us any good. So,
yeah, but we're going back to the old Cobra Kai Karate Kid thing, right? I mean, it still exists. I mean, it's huge at Netflix. Yeah, I'm a martial arts film buff, so I watch everything. And I watched the Cobra Kai series when it was on YouTube, and I dug it, because I can't help it. But I was sitting there going, oh, wow, here we go again. My Eagle Claw is better than your Tiger Kung Fu. His school's talking bad about the Miyagi Dojo. And you're right. That happens. And then it continues to create that fragmentation. And why hang out with each other if I know you're going to turn around and badmouth me because you're trying to get a potential student? It's human nature. It's one we need to overcome. But I believe somebody in our industry, and I'm willing to take the slack to say, hey, what if? We need to question ourselves. We need to question Big Brother. We need to question the industry as a whole. Otherwise, we're just going to continue with our head buried in the sand, doing what we do, fragmented, and what's in it for me. I mean,
I draw, this is maybe a bit of a stretch for a lot of people, but I truly believe it. And again, to me, a martial art instructor or a school owner is every bit a professional as a doctor or a lawyer or a nurse. And we're just not perceived that way. And that's what we got to change. But, kind of back to my point about, one instructor or one school owner badmouth another, you go to two doctors and they're not talking bad about each other. They're not, So we've got to stop doing that and come together and love each other and unite as an industry. And I think once we do that, I think the sky's the limit. I mean, I
Yeah.
used to talk all the time about, back when my kids were young, literally there was a waiting list to get into a daycare center. You could wait weeks or months just to get into a good daycare center. It should be the same way in a martial arts school. There should be a waiting list to get into a martial arts school, and there's not. I mean, it's the other way around. You have school owners begging for students, and we've got to change that.
Well, again, going back to what you just said, jumped at me when you said you don't have two doctors talking poorly about each other. Well, they both have degrees and they both did residencies and they both have licenses and they're both heavily insured. So they're behaving at a much different level, right? If I'm just some guy who watched a couple of Bruce Lee films, going to open up a school and say it's all about creativity and just do whatever I want to do, like you said, they really hurt the industry. They do, and they badmouth the professional schools saying they're just McDojos or blah, 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 because it's convenient and easy. But again, if our hand is forced, much like we're experiencing now, even at a granular level, like Jason's saying, you're told to close. Well, and I'm getting, that's the big thing. Should I close or should I not close? And all I'm telling people is you need to follow your own personal value system, whatever your morals are. I can't tell you what to do. I can only tell you there's cause and effect. There's always consequences. And for me, personally, if my local government tells me I cannot run kids' classes indoors, I will not run kids' classes indoors. If I'm told to wear a mask, I will wear a mask because that's just my own personal belief system that, freedom is not free. We need to contribute, and that's supporting our local government and the different things that are out there. So again, because I've been flooded over the past 2 weeks because they're shutting Germany down. They shut down the United Kingdom. Regions in Canada are shut down. New York just closed the school system. So school owners are reaching out to me wanting validation, and I refuse to give that. I think just do understand there is cause and effect. Do understand there's consequences. What's your guys' take on that, just to get kind of off the subject for a minute?
Well, I'll jump in, and I'm actually going to kind of steal a little bit about what Jason and the team at Kickside have talked about in the WIN initiative. We do believe a martial art, and I don't want to speak for Jason, but speaking for myself, a martial arts school can operate safely. And in a very unique way. They're different from, say, a gym where you go in to lift weights and everybody's sharing the same equipment. Most schools have the room to socially distance. They can require students to wear masks. A lot of suppliers now are coming out with face shields for sparring gear. So you can operate safely, I believe. And I'm with you, Brandon. Everybody has to live by their own morals and principles and beliefs. But I believe a school can stay open and can operate safely. And I think that's a message that Jason and the team at Kickside are doing with their WIN initiative, is to help schools have the materials to understand how they can operate safely and how they can convince the general population that it is safe to come in and train in the martial arts. Probably a lot safer than it is to go lift weights in a gym somewhere.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think the challenge is, we need somebody a little higher up in the food chain and capacity for that. Because if I go to like tourism in Mexico, they've got a whole campaign telling you why you should go to Mexico right now. What would that look like if we had a board that was, dripping content out throughout the United States, just how safe martial arts schools are, how essential we are because of the immune system, because of all those different things. I just believe social media is huge. I leverage social media to the hilt in every shape, way, and form for all my different projects and programs. And I just think, again, the message is very splintered. It's very fragmented, and there is no united message for the martial arts industry. Right? Because I agree with you. I don't understand why we can have indoor dining here in San Mateo County and people are this close together, and I'm running this 3,700 square foot school with 10 kids in a class, spaced out. It's just like, okay. And we clean the bathroom every time those kids go in and out. And I don't get it. So it's
Yeah.
not so much that is what I'm saying. I really believe just for us that whatever our government says, we're going to be supportive, because down the road, when I walk into City Hall to try to get a permit to do a build out, I think they're going to remember me. You know, if I was the guy that supported the community and whatever is offered to us.
Absolutely.
So again, that's just my 2 cents. That's just my 2 cents with that. Jason, what's your thoughts?
Well, and Leon said it really well. The martial arts industry, the martial arts school is so much more conducive to following protocol. I'm with you, Brannon. I think you're always in the best place if you're following guidelines. You know, you don't want to fight that battle. There's too much at stake. Particular counties, they're facing heavy fines if they open when they're not supposed to. We don't want to put ourselves in that position. But I do agree with Leon. The martial arts industry is so conducive to keeping things clean. You just mentioned it. You're cleaning bathrooms. You're probably making sure there's not many people in. And there's not a bunch of equipment to clean. But here's another advantage that a lot of don't understand. We have instructors constantly. You know, you go to a 24-hour fitness, you go in and out of that place. There's no one monitoring how many are in there. I mean, at one place they gave me a card, like, oh, after so many cards, people can't come in. It's not being monitored. You are sitting there firsthand. You got either you or one of your instructors that is literally policing it. And that's what makes this really unique yet again. And another, in my mind, one of the best places, one of the best businesses to have open right now.
So speed is of the issue. You know, when they closed us, speed is what got us into virtual really fast. Speed is distance learning camps, everything. Speed has been vital for a business's survival through this pandemic. So what can we do to escalate this? What can we do to get some kind of emergency rating for martial arts schools to be called essential? Is there anything that can happen at a government level where we can push this thing through? So we're losing 40% of the schools right now, Leon? And I saw you post it might be 60 when this is all over, right?
From everything I'm seeing and hearing, yeah, I think 30 to 40% is very realistic as far as what we're seeing. And that's, that's scary.
It is. What can we do at a government level, speed-wise?
Well,
Hey, guys, we're drowning here. You need to throw us a lifeline now, right freaking now. You know, I'm hoping the new stimulus package has something in there for small businesses specifically, another PPP, something of that nature, because, you know, everybody needs it. Small businesses really need it.
Well, as far as what we can do short term, again, I keep going back to, another part of the WIN initiative. It's not just the petition, but it's to give the schools the tools they need to, or the information they need to convince their potential students that it's safe to come in, it's safe to train, and it's something they should be doing now. Being fit and healthy, God forbid you catch COVID, being fit and healthy, you have a much better outcome than if you're unhealthy. So, you can, Jason, where do they go to, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, but I don't believe you even have to be a Kicksite client.
Oh, no, not at all.
Information.
Not
it's
at
open
all.
to all schools out there. And when I shut up here, Jason, you can tell them maybe where to go to access that information. But I think that's number one is we've got to drive more students to the school. And I applaud Kicksite all day and all night for doing that. Jason and his team have really stepped up in that capacity. But from there, honestly, as a person involved in the industry for almost 40 years now, I've been disappointed at the lack of participation we've had in the signature. I believe Jason said we're approaching 1,000 signatures, and we're not that far into it. But when you start doing the math, there's 35. Well, pre-COVID, there were 35,000 schools out there. It's somewhat less than that now, but even if it's 20,000, so at a minimum, you should have 20,000 signatures. Now,
plus the parents, plus our parents, plus
parents, friends, family, anybody that believes the benefit of martial arts can sign this thing. To Jason's point, you don't have to be a school owner to sign it. So my difficulty, a lot of school owners, all my friends, thank God for them. They've stepped up and signed. But they seem to be hesitant to put it out there for their students and their parents to sign. Those
Why?
are,
But why? Why do you think that is? Why?
I don't know. I don't understand. Again, it's just, I've been a little disappointed that we've not gotten more signatures than we have. And a lot of it is just, it's fairly new. We've just got to keep pushing the word out there, and pushing people to not just sign it, but please share it with your students.
So K1, can we post the link in there? Do we have the link? Can we post it in the actual messages and throw it up on the screen? What is the web address for that?
It's thewininitiative.com. And sometimes that word initiative can be misspelled. So I'll take a look when it comes up. But I would just echo Leon's comments there. We've got two different goals. In the short term, if you go to the WIN Initiative, there is the ability to join the WIN Initiative. And by joining, that's where we'll produce content that you can use to educate your audience. Because right now we got to keep our numbers up to keep our business alive. In order to keep our numbers up, people need to understand the value, and they need to be confident in your cleaning practices and the things that you provide that they may not be considering. So allow us to provide you that content so that you don't have to create it. And Brandon, I thank you for that suggestion. You better believe we're going to start creating shorter videos that'll make it even easier for everyone to digest.
Yes. Have you seen any of the commercials we run? Because we cut all of our own stuff. When we did the distance learning camp, we open up with a shot. Kids are walking up with masks. We do a temperature check. They're sanitizing their hand. At the end of this video, I'm out there with an ultrastatic fogger, spraying the school, waving at everybody. So I get it. But see, that type of education, safety first, safety first, because that's what's going to help with the uncertainty and the fear, right? Is that if we can really prove that we are clean, we are safe, show social distancing and mask in all of our classes. I think that's really important. But a lot of schools don't have that type of money, that type of budget. See, that would find value. That would endear the WIN Initiative to people. Say, hey, here you go. We got to create awareness. Here's a simple 30-second video. It's generic, right? No school patches or anything. And you can utilize it so people know that you are doing this safely, but you better be doing it safely. See, how can we back that up? They're going to run this really cool commercial. Then you go to their school and nobody's got masks on. Nobody's cleaning. So it's all those things, because we know we work with these schools. And I agree with you, Leon. I'm glad you're disappointed. And I'm glad you're saying that, because there's 20-something thousand schools and only 1,000 signatures. It just continues to show what challenges us most in the industry is our need or our fear to stay fragmented so we can do our own thing and nobody can come govern us. Right. But I think we need it. Unions. Could you imagine a martial arts union, a true union that looks out for the employees as well as the owners? That could be a different day. That could be a whole different day.
Yeah. Hey, and Jason, you correct me here if I'm wrong, but do they not need to go to kicksite.com/win initiative, or is
nope? They can just go to just thewininitiative.com
So it's up there. It's THEWIN.
Yep.
NIITIA. Yeah, he spelled initiative right. Good.
It's
and we just got a vote of confidence from Australia there, gentlemen. Powerful message. You have our support. It's a worldwide initiative. I love it.
Yep. It is a worldwide initiative.
Australia.
For sure.
That's cool. All right, gentlemen. So do you want to take us out with anything?
Leon, do you mind if I make one closing comment?
No, please do.
Here.
Please do.
I guess I'll just start by applauding the effort of all martial arts schools all over the world. It's not been easy. We absolutely have been beyond impressed with the reaction, the response. People are doing well. We just have had to adapt. So I just want to, number one, applaud everybody and also encourage you to stay the course. We know this isn't over, but man, have we come together in a lot of positive ways. So the two things that we are doing, and we would encourage you to go to the WIN Initiative to be able to benefit from some of these resources. One is use the articles we're producing, and we will produce some new ones, but put these in front of your members, put these in front of your prospects. This will help you in the short term. In the long term, frankly, any sort of legislative moves, we're kind of at a standstill due to the election. Well, that's behind us now. So as things are settling in and the election is behind us, now we're kind of mobilizing our efforts again and getting in touch with those legislators. So we are back on track with some of our legislative efforts. And this petition does help our efforts. So more to follow on that.
Cool. Leon, give us some love, sir. You always have amazing things to offer us.
Well, I've been in the industry a long time, and I have a heart and a passion and a love for school owners and what they do. And, my heart goes out to them when I see the ones that are struggling. But I will say, there are still some schools out there that have adapted and continue to do quite well. So I'm always happy when I see those things happen. So kind of to echo what Jason said, stay the course. If you own a school or you're instructing martial arts, we need you now. Our society needs you now more than ever. You're a valuable part of our society, and hang in there, and we're here to support you. And hopefully this WIN initiative is going to go a long ways.
Excellent. And I applaud you, gentlemen, for having the bravery to step up and take on such a monumental task. And it's only going to be fueled, I'm sure, with the more consciousness we can create. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us, Brandon.
Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Wow, right? Wow. So let's not let this fall upon tin ears. Let's really step up and recognize a lot of the reason we're in the boat we're in today is because we are fragmented, right? They didn't shut down plumbers when this thing happened. They were considered essential. Auto shops were considered essential because they needed people's vehicles repaired so essential workers can get to work. So what do we do to be looked at as essential? So if we face this thing again in any shape, way, or form, we are considered essential. We are considered vital. We understand that because we go into our schools every day. We run our schools and we know we're essential. We know we can do social distancing. We know there's an instructor on the mat, as Jason was sharing. We know how vital we are. But Joe E. Public lacks the education. Joe E. Public looks at us as 1% of 1%. Right? So think about that. So we've got a long way to go. What, 5 million people out of 350 million do martial arts? That's nothing. That's a drop in the bucket. And we know the values. That's why we commit our life to being martial artists, to being martial arts instructors. But they can't do this alone. So please go to thewininitiative.com, sign it, support it, and share it with other people. Right. And until we're ready to own it, to take that accountability, I'm willing to go to any governing board and saying, what do I need to do? What do you require us to do? Much like the sexual harassment thing. We've all had to watch this video 2 years in a row and take this course. That's mandatory. It's not you have a choice. It's mandatory. And we do it. That's just what California requires. So I think it's cool, I think it's really, really cool. And we're in a very unique position. We're in a very, very unique position, but we need to raise the bar. And we have a unique opportunity to do that in this brave new world with the way things are going, to reposition ourselves. Because as we come out of this, we have a unique opportunity to reinvent ourselves, as we have. When we got shut down in March, the first thing I shared with my team and I when we sat collectively was, we are a brand new business. And they said, well, what do you mean? We've been around for 20 years. I said, no. For 20 years, we've been able to do indoor classes. We are a brand new business. For 20 years, we've been able to do birthday parties. We are a brand new business. Make no mistake. And we've approached it that way from day one. So when we write social media posts, when we cut videos and we cut content, we are pivoting hard and utilizing speed to cultivate that imagery that I was sharing with Jason, right? If you watch our distance learning camp video, which is all over the internet and at our website, onemartialarts.com, you'll see, when did we ever have to open a video with a kid wearing a mask walking up to your school, spaced 6 feet apart, getting a temperature check? Well, what does that say immediately? No. I want to start with an image of me doing a flying kick, breaking a board. Please don't do that. Please don't do that, right? So it's that mindfulness, I believe, as a collective, if we can do that. Yeah, I love that, Chris. See, we have the opportunity to serve above and beyond, but don't exploit the pandemic for financial gain. Be authentic in the cause. And I spoke about that heavily. It's at It's Time Live Elevate, right? If I'm just sitting here using every angle of this pandemic to generate revenue, that's going to be ill-fated, because when this pandemic passes, so will your intentions. So if we are genuinely, as Chris is saying, at Dynamic Martial Arts in Australia, be authentic in the cause, truly authentic. If we can do that, then that's important. I'm a parent. I don't want to send my kid anywhere unless I know it's safe. So when you writing content, say that. I would say that. I'm a parent and I don't want to send my kid anywhere that's not safe. So when we look at all our procedures in our martial arts classes, I want to know from a parent that my kid's safe. And as a parent, I'm going to tell you, your kid will be safe when they come into our school. See, that's authentic because it's true. I'm a parent, right? And we speak from the heart. We speak from the heart. So cool. Man, we spent the whole hour with them, but I really wanted to. We'll get to questions and stuff next week. I think this is important. Anytime we can hear the word martial arts in the House of Representatives, the word martial arts businesses in small business circles at a higher government level, at a federal level, that excites me. That truly excites me, right? And I don't think it's going to stifle the individuality of what you do. I think it's a unique opportunity to raise that bar. I didn't scoff when my HR person said we all have to take this sexual harassment course online. I was grateful, no challenge with it. When we got the defibrillator in our school, we didn't scoff at it. We look at it as what a unique opportunity to raise the bar of our service by having a defibrillator that we can use in our school. I think it's awesome. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. But I agree with Chris passionately. If we're just simply hopping on a bandwagon to exploit people's fear and uncertainty to make revenue, then I think that's ill-fated. It genuinely has to be authentic in the cause. I like that, Chris. Be authentic in the cause. Thank you for all the good dialogue. Let me look back at some of it. Yeah, a union would be amazing, right? And I agree with you, Carl. We don't want a chain of foot fist ways branches taking over a state, right? Just because they got big government behind them. So they're going to knock out all these quality martial arts instructors, right? For these big franchises that simply have crossed their T's and dotted their I's and been able to line the lobbyist pocket. I agree with it. It's got to be a balance, Carl, but it requires the small school owner from day one to step. If you're a single plumber, right? You still have to have a license. You may not have to be in the union, but you still have to have the same license a union guy has, the exact same license. So I believe that has to happen on a bigger scale, and it's going to take government's intervention because we've proven it time and time again, year after year, decade after decade. We are fragmented and we each want to do things our own way. Okay, but I think much like a health inspection of a bakery or a restaurant, that might be a bakery, that might be a restaurant, two different things, but there's health inspectors that are coming and they have a certain quality that you must adhere to, or you can't run this restaurant or bakery. I really believe that needs to happen. And what is that going to take? What is that going to take? I don't know. But it's a good place to start. So do take a look at the WIN initiative. So K1, what kind of good stuff do we have to share with people really quick? We do know, what is this? There's questions. Oh, look at that. That's kind of cool. Let me turn that off and let me stay with you. All right. So we are going to wrap up today's show. We had tons of questions. I'm sorry we didn't get to them, but I really wanted to give a platform for Leon and Jason to share their passion and their purpose and what they're trying to achieve in our industry, which we so deserve. So let's do our winner. I'm just speechless because I'm so grateful that somebody has the gumption to step up at this level, at a government level, just to know that we're in the House of Congress and we're being spoken of in small businesses already. Powerful. So what are we giving away, K1? Hope everybody shared this. 1 hour phone call with me. It's worth $300. I work with people by the hour. We're getting ready to open up a new session for one-on-one mentoring as well as our group mentoring. Look for that at the beginning of the year. Do pick up the It's Time Live Elevate virtual event. It's available now. I don't know if we have the link for that, K1. If you have it, that is available. You can watch it. So much amazing with the influence with Josh Archimont, Min Wilson, Stephen Reinstein. And plus, it was my most ambitious work to date. As I was cultivating the content, I said, either I'm going to get booed and off the stage, or people really, it's going to resonate with people at a heart level. And gratefully, I think it did. It really, really did. So put in the link for that, and hopefully people pick up It's Time Live Elevate, the virtual event. We have that going on. You see, I got the really cool Disruptor t-shirt. Well, everybody that was at the event will get the Disruptor t-shirt. Now, I'm encouraging everybody to buy this Disruptor t-shirt, and then you need to post a video. And that video will say why you're a disruptor, what you're doing through this pandemic to be a disruptor and impact your community, and how Brannon Beliso has impacted you. Those two things go together if you're a true disruptor. And then post the video and tag K1 or myself on it, and then you're entered into a drawing. And in that drawing, I'm giving away $1,200 of consulting time with me. I believe more than that now than ever, you need a voice of reason, you need a sounding board, and hopefully you value the learning and knowledge that I can offer you. So that's a $1,200 winner that we're going to give. But get your Disruptor t-shirt, post the link to buy that t-shirt in there if you can, K1. Get your Disruptor t-shirt. Again, wear it in a video, right? And you guys who are at the event have a head start, because your t-shirts might be there by now, unless you're in Australia or Canada or somewhere international, but they'll get there. And then make that video, and we're going to run this until December 15th, the contest. And wear the t-shirt, post how you're a disruptor in your community and what you've done disruptive through this pandemic, and how the learning I've offered you, the knowledge I've provided with you, has helped you pivot and do well in this brave new world. Cool? And you'll be automatically into that, and just make sure to tag us. All right, who's our winner today, K1? Who's going to win that 1-hour call with me? And take advantage of it. Schedule it right away, because I think speed is of the essence, and speed is one of the reasons why we are still standing through this pandemic. So who's our winner today? Mish. All right, Sensei Mish, you are the winner of the 1-hour consulting time with me, valued at $300. Everybody give Sensei Mish some love there. Love, love, love to Sensei Mish on this today. I want to thank my sponsors, my studio, Market Muscles, Kids Love Life Skills, and LC Accounting. Thank you so much, so much for supporting us in our cause and everything that we do. With your love and support is one of the biggest reasons why I believe we are still here today, and we are in the position that we are in. Cool. And I want to thank K1. He's on vacation, but he stepped up here to help make this happen. And to everybody out there who's working hard, who's pivoting, who's adapting, who's struggling, lots of love, prayers, and well wishes. And I do believe what Jason and Leon said, stay the course, keep fighting the good fight. But remember, speed is of the essence. We have to move quickly and pivot quickly, and make no doubt, I am here for you in every way possible, because as I said from the beginning of this pandemic, together we can. I am Brannon Beliso. Until we talk again, please go out there, live your best life. Hey folks, Brannon Beliso. Are you living your best life? Welcome to another episode of Success Never Sleeps, sponsored by my studio, Market Muscles, Kids Love Life Skills, and LC Accounting.